Hey guys, Matt here from BHK. We're going to do a little flexibility today because if you're anything like me and you've been sitting on your couch for the last couple weeks, things are getting stiff. So we're just going to go through a relatively quick, say 25-30 minute. We're just going to move through a few of my favorite kind of stretches. So get your isolation hair going. And we're gonna get rocking and rolling. This is pre-recorded, so you can pause it to grab any of the items that you might need. For example, you might want a mat, depending on what your floors are like. You may or may not want a belt or a yoga mat, yoga strap, or things like that. And if you have a kettlebell or something else that you can hang on to, table leg if it's relatively secure to the floor. Stair railing as well, and we'll get rocking and rolling. Here we go. Okay, so we're gonna get rocking here. I'm gonna do my best to just talk loud enough and clear enough that you can just follow along. Take a peek at the screen as you need to follow along, but just move a couple of disclaimers at the beginning here. Number one, just stay out of painful range of motion. If you have shoulders, hips, knees, ankles, anything like that you know bother you, you know what feels good, you know what doesn't feel good. So just stay in that feel good range. Explore pain-free range of motion, and you'll be nice and safe. If it hurts, stop. That's probably a pretty good rule of thumb. And remember to breathe. So we're going to start off real quick with breathing. So we're going to talk about our belly breathing. So we're going to get you guys through. You're going to lay out flat on the floor on your stomach if that's comfortable. Sandwich your hands on top of each other and rest your forehead in your hands. If that's uncomfortable on your lower back for whatever reason, feel free to lay over on your back with your knees bent. So we can either be here or here. Either position, all I want you guys to do is just breathe in through your nose, out through your mouth, and press your belly button into the floor as you're taking that nice deep breath if you're laying on your stomach, or with your hands on your belly button if you're laying on your back. Feel your belly button, press your hands up towards the ceiling. So we want to fill the bottom of those lungs, fill everything in the bottom. Belly button goes down into the floor, rib cage expands to the sides, lower back rises up towards the ceiling. Chest and shoulders move very little, if anything at all. This should be secondary at best. Let's send everything all the way down to the bottom of the lungs. We're going to be here for another 30 or so seconds, so just keep those nice good deep breaths coming in. You can have your eyes open or closed. Keep going. We're going to go a few more nice, slow, deep breaths. As we start to reach any sort of challenging positions or things that start to verge on discomfort, come back to this breathing. And occasionally just check in with your breathing if you find that you're holding your breath or your breathing starts to stutter a little bit or it gets shallow, you start to breathe in your chest. Those are all cues that what you're doing, your body is not sure about. So just keep calm, return to your belly breathing, and just move through everything as you can comfortably. Perfect. So from here we're going to move our way up. I'm going to turn my mat sideways just because my knees go a little wider than my mat is. Feel free to do the same if you need to. But we're basically going to start in that similar position that we were just on the stomachs. If you weren't on your stomach, come on over. And we're going to start here just on the forearms. And we're going to extend up as far as is comfortable, again staying out of painful range of motion. Nice deep belly breaths. Look up towards the ceiling, look as high up back towards the ceiling as you can. Think about your spine as though it comes out of the top of your head, almost like a really weird unicorn, comes all the way up, and reach that extension of your spine up toward the ceiling. Get nice and long. You might notice instantly you can see a little more of your ceiling. If you want to rock a little side to side like I'm doing, that's cool too. Just explore movement. Slowly bringing yourself back down. Hands going to go into your shoulders. We're going to push ourselves back to a little child's pose. So knees can be a little wider than hips. Tops of the feet down towards the floor. If you can, point your toes in. If you need or want, you can point your toes out, whatever is comfortable. Set those hips back down towards your heels. Rest your head down towards your mat. Walk your arms straight out. And you guessed it. Nice slow breaths. Rest your head. Wiggle your hips a little if you like. Think about prying space between your hip bones. If your knees feel like they want to inch out a little wider, feel free to let them. If you're dropping your chest towards your floor, that's also good. Nice, good, slow, deep breaths. Good. Shift your weight all the way back to forward, dropping your hips, coming onto your forearms, and getting nice and long again. There's a lot of pressure or just a lot of videos out there, everybody really pushing themselves at home. You know, you gotta stay fit, you gotta stay moving, you gotta push yourself. Allow yourself some time to just relax. It's stressful out there right now. Just allow yourself to enjoy your health and just your ability to move. We're going to push back to child's pose one last time, so bring those hands into your shoulders. Coming up, bring your hips all the way through. Reach your knees as wide as is comfortable. Sit your hips again back down towards your heels. Walk your arms out. Belly breath and relax. Again, you can pry those hips side to side if you like. Walk your arms a little bit further forward, but then anti-shrug. So pull those shoulders away from your ears. That might drag your arms back a little bit, and that's okay, but it might give you a good stretch through those lats, side of your back, side of your upper back. Good. So we're going to bring ourselves all the way back forward to forearms. Now, if the next progression is uncomfortable, then just stay here between this forearms or Sphinx kind of pose and the child's pose. We're going to move it up to a upward facing dog with that same idea of getting nice and long through the spine. And we can rock the hips and shoulders kind of side to side. You can look side to side. Belly breaths. From here, we're going to tuck our toes underneath, bring our hips up into a plank position. If your hands are slipping a little on your hardwood floor, you might want to move them. Or we're going to drive those hips all the way up towards the ceiling and look. There we go. Look with your head back between your legs, keeping your legs nice and straight best you can, and driving your hips up towards the ceiling. Good. Bring yourself all the way back through to the top of the push-up. Drop your hips down to that upward facing dog. Think about keeping your shoulders down away from your ears to get nice and long. And again, wiggle your hips side to side. See if you can get even your hip bones closer to the floor. Good. Tuck your toes. Bring yourself to the top of the push-up. Walk your feet a little closer if you need to. Adjust yourself as much as you need to drive those hips up towards the ceiling. Drive your heels down towards the floor. Try and get those legs as straight as you can. If that means you have to be less of a pike position to get those legs straight, that's okay. We're chasing the stretch, not a movement. Right? So just enjoy the movement you can get. Good. We'll go one more time to the top of the push-up, dropping the hips down, up into that upward facing dog. Keep those nice, good, deep breaths coming in. Looking up to see your ceiling. And start looking around back towards your feet. See how much of your feet can you see? Can you see both of your feet? Can you see anything on the other side of the opposite foot? Gently rotating side to side, staying out of painful range of motion. Everything should be pain-free and comfortable. Again, if you need to, you can come down to forearms. You can still look side to side. Whatever's most comfortable for you. Good. Tuck the toes, come to the top of the push-up, drive the hips up towards the ceiling, look way back between your legs, drop your head between your shoulders, drive your heels towards the floor. Good. Bring yourself back to the top of the push-up. We're going to move into a little pigeon. So we're going to bring our left knee in between our hands and sit our hips down towards the floor. From the side, we're here. From this side, so my foot's through on my right side of my body, my left knee is in between my hands, and I'm sitting up nice and tall best that I can. If this hip isn't all the way down towards the floor, maybe you're up a little higher. If you want to put a pillow or something underneath that butt cheek, just to allow yourself a chance to relax, that's also fine. Again, wiggle the hips around. We don't have to stay totally static when we're stretching. You can kind of move things. You might find moving one angle makes the stretch more intense, and moving another angle makes it less intense. So just explore it. Belly breath. Bring yourself back to the top of the push-up, tucking that toe back underneath. And we'll bring the other leg forward. Doing the same thing, sitting into this stretch. Hope everything sort of makes sense so you can see what I'm doing here. I'm trying to give various angles. This back leg, just reaching it out nice and far. If you feel like you want to have your top of your foot flat on the floor, that's okay. If it feels more comfortable to have your toe tucked underneath, that's also okay. Just rocking the hips side to side. And breathing. Some people like to come down to forearms. So we're going to switch back to the other side. So we'll come back to the top of the push-up. And we'll bring that left knee back all the way through. Adjusting the wardrobe if you need to. And then sitting down into those hips. If you want to walk your arms down to forearms again, or all the way flat, whatever is comfortable for you. Nice, good job, you guys. Stay nice and long through the spine so we don't want to get too shrugged up or hunched. Proud chest. Good. Tuck that back toe if it's not tucked. Bring yourself back to the top of the push-up. We'll go one last time on the right side, so bring that right knee through. Sitting down into the hips. Rocking a little side to side. You can spend as much time, or for argument's sake, as little time as you like in each one of these positions. If you're doing this from home and you've only got 10 minutes, but you feel like you need to do something and you feel tight, pick one or two of these that you like, and just spend the whole 5 or 10 minutes just moving through one or two positions. You don't have to do them all. Anything is better than nothing. So, bring yourself back to hands and knees. We're gonna roll over and work another position. So we're going to play with our assisted straight leg raise. I'm going to stretch my mat out a little bit so I can lay out comfortably. So we're going to be laying on our back. Head's going to be resting on the floor. If this is uncomfortable for your lower back, you can try putting a foam roller or something underneath your ankles to raise your legs up a little bit so that you're a little bit in a more neutral position. If it still bothers your lower back, just skip it. We've got some other options that we can do in a later date. You have a belt, yoga strap. I'm gonna use my guitar strap. I'm gonna put it around the ball of one of your feet. I'm gonna do my right foot, so if you wanna follow along, we've got our left leg going. And we're gonna stretch that leg all the way out. I want this knee to be straight. And I'm gonna pull this leg up as far as I need to get a good stretch. If your knee's bent, and be honest with yourself, is it bent? If it is bent, lower it down, drive through your heel, like you're trying to touch your ceiling or the corner of your wall with your heel, and drive that leg straight. Remember, we're chasing a stretch, not a movement. So just enjoy the stretch. Rest your head back down on the mat. The opposite leg should be remaining straight as well, toe up towards the ceiling. So don't let it do anything weird or funky. Bend, dive to the outside. Left toe straight up towards the ceiling. Keeping that right leg nice and straight. And breathing. So we're gently just giving ourselves a little bit of assistance with that strap around the toes. Driving through the heel. If you start to get higher and you feel like the stretch goes away, check your knee. Is it bent? If it's bent, drive through the heel. You should find that stretch again right away. Might feel like the back of your knee is going to explode. As long as it's not painful, you're okay. Good. You can start doing little circles with this leg. If you imagine you've got a Sharpie on your heel and it's touching the ceiling, you're drawing little circles on the ceiling with the Sharpie. Good. Try circles the other way. Don't sacrifice that straight leg to get the circles. Still really important we keep that leg and that knee nice and straight. Good. You bend that knee, we're going to switch legs, so put the other foot in that strap. All the same rules apply here, even though it might feel a little different. So this knee needs to stay nice and straight. This opposite leg stays nice and straight, toe up towards the ceiling. You may not be able to get the same range of motion you did on the other side, but that's okay. It might come and one leg will most likely feel different than the other. Remember to breathe. Check in with that breathing now and again. If it starts to get shallow or kind of broken or something weird like that, then you might need to back the stretch off a little bit and just allow yourself the time to get comfortable with it. Start doing those little circles again. Again, not sacrificing that straight knee on either leg, but drawing those nice, steady circles one way. And we'll go steady circles the other way. Perfect. Good. Lower that leg back down. You can put that strap off to the side. We're probably done with it for now, but you might end up calling back to it later. We'll see how things go. You work your way up to a sitting position here. If you can sit comfortably with both feet together, you can sit up nice and tall. You can leave a little space in between your heels and the rest of your body if you like. But just think about sitting nice and tall. And you may even want to look up towards the ceiling a little bit. Get tall through that spine. Try and touch that little extra bit of spine that's coming out of the top of your head up towards the ceiling. And just let the knees fall towards the outside. And again, you can kind of rock side to side if you like. Breathe, focus on the sound of your breath, focus on the feeling in your body. Just give yourself maybe a break from what's going on outside your house, or maybe what's going on inside your house as well. We're all getting a little cooped up, I think. From here we're going to move back to basically the top of the push-up. So you can bring yourself around. back towards that top of the push-up position, or even hands and knees works if that's more comfortable for you. But we're basically going to bring our left foot up next to our left hand. However, that means we need to get it up there. And maybe we're right here. If we're right here, that's cool. If this knee stays down, that's also fine. If that's the stretch that you get and that knee needs to stay down, sweet, that works for me. If you want to, you can start reaching that back leg out, ultimately working your way into a nice big long kind of lunge position. Proud chest, look up. Rock the hips side to side a little bit if you like. If you want to think about taking this knee and pushing it back, while taking this knee and pushing it forward to create space, I might give you a little bit of an extra stretch. Again, remember we're staying in a comfortable zone and not an uncomfortable zone. 4 out of 10 is a pretty good gauge to work with. 10 being extremely painful. Sitting somewhere on that 4. Good. Drop that back knee back down. Bring yourself back to hands and knees. I'm going to rotate so we can see from the front. Bring that right foot back up towards the right hand. And again, if this is a nice good stretch, perfect, hang out here. If you want to lift that back leg up and get long, go for it. Get a nice distance from this front knee and that back knee. Get nice and long in between the two. Remember to breathe, proud chest. All those good cues are just going to keep pumping up. Good. Now if you want to and you're able to, you can leave that back foot on the floor and just bring this knee out into the top of the push-up, or you can drop that knee down if you like. We'll go one more time. Bring that left foot up. And we can do little circles here as well. Little hip circles. If you want to make this a little bit further, you can take that elbow and reach it down towards your instep of one hand or both. Or stay up here. I don't know about you, but I'm starting to get a little sweaty. That's good. Good. We're going to one more time back over to the other side, so you can bring that left foot out. Bring that right foot forward. And start off with your little circles. Expect one side to feel different than the other. Totally common. If you want, you can take that elbow down to the instep, or come down onto both. Remember to breathe. This is where you might need to come back up a little bit. Notice your breathing changing. Just regress to a position that your breath is comfortable. Good. Drop that right knee back down. Come back down, hands and knees. Wiggle side to side. Just move around a little bit. So we're going to keep working on those hip flexors, front part of the legs, your quads, into your hip crease. I'm going to fold my mat over a couple of times because my hardwood floors are, well, hard, and I want to be comfortable. That should give me a nice level of support there. So I'm going to move into what's called a half kneel position. So this is a closed half kneel, as though I'm on cross-country skis, for example. Right, nice straight line. If the balance here is challenging, you can open that a little bit to move that leg out just to give yourself a little more stability. But we're going to get nice and tall through the spine. Put your hands on your knees, or hands on the hips, not on your knees. Hands on your hips, get nice and tall. And from here, I'm just going to rotate again so we can kind of see. That back toe is untucked. Foot's flat on the floor if that's comfortable. Up nice and tall. Tucking your hip underneath. Okay, so I don't want to let my hips out. That lets me get into a real long stretch and I don't feel anything here. Remember, we're chasing a stretch, not a movement. So I want to tuck that hip underneath, that glutes on a little bit. I already feel a stretch here, okay? Stretch on my hip flexor. I'm gonna stay up nice and tall. And then I'm just gonna gently pulse forward until I feel a good stretch. And then I'm gonna rock back. Little pulses, don't let that hip untuck. If you can get deep into the stretch, be honest with yourself. Are you getting a stretch? I wanna feel a nice stretch up through this hip flexor all the way up into just below my hip crease. Keeping those little pumps going. Nice, we need 3 more little pumps, little pulses. Good. Back to center, and we can switch to the other side. I'm gonna switch the way that I'm facing. Again, same thing, knee underneath your hip. Front foot, whatever's comfortable. You might wanna have it a little bit further in front of your knee. That back toe is untucked, top of the foot's down. I'm up nice and tall. My hips are tucked under. I've got a good stretch through this hip flexor. And I'm pulsing through. I want to avoid having your hand in your knee because that can lead you into this sort of forward flex position. And you start to move through your upper body instead of your lower body. Putting your hands in your hips will help you just to stay nice and tall and move through this hip complex. Nice, and do a few more. Remember to breathe in the nose, out the mouth. Belly breath. Good, back to center. Come back to a tall kneel. Right, so this is a half kneel. This is a tall kneel with both knees down. So we're gonna go into now what's called an open half kneel. Our open half kneel, I'm just gonna move myself to the side a little bit, is basically our half kneel position, but now our front leg is off to the side. Our instep is more or less in line with the knee that's down. This is our open half kneel. We're gonna add a little bit of lateral flexion or a little bit of light side bending to this position. Again, comfortable range of motion. If it hurts, stop, okay? So we're gonna stay up nice and tall, and basically all we're gonna do is just, you can put your hands anywhere that's kind of comfortable. I'm just gonna cross mine in front for now. My elbow is gonna come in front of my knee. I'm gonna laterally flex and look up towards the ceiling. If I can keep my chest perpendicular to the floor, so don't let it rotate and fall towards the floor. My chest is staying facing as though I was up against the wall, and it would slide against the wall, and I'll come all the way back up. Keep that nice breaths coming in. Flexing as far as is comfortable. If this is comfortable, this range of motion, that's totally fine. If you can get real deep into it, that's also fine. You might feel a good stretch through the hip flexor, the adductors, groin area. Maybe you're feeling it on the back leg. The answer to the question, where should I feel this stretch, to a lot of these stretches is yes. You should feel it. Everybody might feel it somewhere slightly different. But where should I feel this stretch? Yes. Let's switch to the other side. So we'll come back to the tall kneel, into our half kneel, and into our open half kneel. If you're anything like me, one side will definitely feel different than the other. So don't expect yourself to move the same one side or the other. We'll just get that nice same up tall position. Drop into one side. You might find looking up towards the ceiling helps a little bit in order to keep yourself square and not falling forward. So we're just gonna reach in, put in that elbow against the inner thigh. Can help as well. If you find you might wanna move that foot out a little bit, that's also cool. Nice, with a few more. Hope you guys are feeling good. This feels awesome to me. One more. Good, back to the tall kneel. And we can kind of wiggle things out a little bit. If you want to stand up and just shake things out for a sec, I'm going to readjust my mat. We've only got 2 positions to go, and we'll be finished in about, let's say 8 to 10 minutes. So we're going to start in this tall sitting position. Okay, so you're a kid watching TV or something like that, right? So you're here. What we're going to do is we're going to let both knees drop to one side into what's called a 90-90-90. Okay, so we've got 90 degrees in our front knee, 90 degrees through our hips, and about 90 degrees in our back knee. And here we're going to sit up nice and tall. Now I'm just going to rotate because it's going to be easier that way. You can kind of stay the way that you are, or a good idea might be to take your front leg or the inside of your knee that's facing the ceiling, rotates so that thigh of that leg is facing the screen. Okay. So like this, I still have my 90 degrees in my front knee, 90 degrees in my hips, 90 degrees in my back knee, but the inner knee that's facing the ceiling, that thigh is pointing you. I hope all those make sense. So from here, we're going to take both hands, we're going to put them in between the screen, or maybe the edge of your mat, and that thigh, that quad. Okay? Think about keeping this shoulder down. Don't let it come in towards your chin. Keep it away from your chin. And again, proud chest. And then we're going to look over. For me, that's my right shoulder. It's my right knee that's forward. My right shoulder, I'm looking over, getting a nice, good stretch through that upper back. If you feel like you're being wrung out like a tea towel, totally fine. That's normal as long as it doesn't hurt. If you want to take this a step further, if this feels good, you want to go a little bit further, and come on down to forearms. Try to have equal weight between your left elbow and your right elbow. If this arm is super light, then you might not feel a super good stretch through the upper back. But if you shift some weight into that elbow and kind of push that elbow down towards the floor, that might help you get a little bit of a more stretch. And the same, looking over that shoulder, getting a little bit of extra rotation. Now, I want you guys to stay where you're at. I'm going to move just slightly, but just keep breathing and just hanging out in this position. We're going to take it one step further. I just need a little more space. Okay, from here, if you weren't able to do that assisted leg raise stretch, this is going to hit your hamstring. If you were, we're going to hit the hamstring again. So you're going to take that front leg or that right leg for me, and I'm going to reach that right heel out across the room as far as is comfortable. Ooh. If you can't quite get this knee totally straight, that's fine. Whatever angle gives you a good stretch to that hamstring, that's what we're looking for, chasing a stretch. I'm trying to shoot these once a week, and we'll kind of build some progression to some of these stretches. Let me know what you think, the comments down below. If you did it, if you liked it, if there's anything that you have questions about or didn't like or want to progress on, shoot a bunch of comments down here. Couple nice, good, slow, deep breaths still. Good, you can pull that foot back in, bend that knee. See how this feels. Maybe that changed something in the ability to rotate. Come on back to hands. From here, we're just going to move ourselves back to a hands and knees position. So you can just bring yourself back to hands and knees. And then we're going to go down onto the other side. So basically, we're just going to start in that same position, that 90-90-90. Now your left thigh, or whatever the opposite side is facing the screen. 90 degrees in the front knee, 90 degrees in the hips, 90 degrees in the back knee. Both hands in between your thigh and the edge of your mat or the screen. And now we're looking over that left shoulder. Difference in side to side, okay? Asymmetries are totally normal. We have them all the time, but good to just acknowledge that they exist and just sort of know where they exist in your own body. Now I'm going to move my mat over a little bit. While I'm doing that, if you want to, take this a step further, come on down to your forearms. Keep looking over that left shoulder and just keep that nice gentle rotation going. I'm just going to slide over a bit so I don't kick anything on the other side as I extend that leg out. Nice even weight between your right elbow and your left elbow, making sure that you're staying nice and square best that you can. And from here, we're going to take that now left leg or that opposite front leg, and we're going to, oh boy, reach it out. You might find it more challenging to keep that even weight and distribution between your elbows. That's normal, that's fine, do your best. Think about staying nice and long through the spine so you're not getting short or hunched or anything like that. Proud chest. Nice, we'll be here for another few seconds. You can reach that heel a little bit further across the room if you like. We'll bring that foot back in, so bending that knee. And then we'll just spend another couple of seconds here, see how it feels. Perfect. Come on, back to hands. Work your way back to hands and knees. We got one more to go. We're going to kind of hit the ankles and the calves a little bit, maybe the hips. And this is where you're going to need maybe that kettlebell or like a table or something that's relatively secure to hang on to. If you don't have either of those, I'll give you a couple of options. But let's get set up with those. Okay, so I'm going to use a kettlebell. I've got my kettlebell here. And basically all I'm going to do is I'm going to use this kettlebell just to basically help me stay up nice and tall. Okay, so if you have the leg of a table or the edge of a wall, something that's relatively secure. If you're doing this with a friend at home or a partner, spouse, whatever, roommate, and you guys want to hold hands because neither one of you guys have it, right? We're going to work our way into a nice deep squat. Heels are down, very important, especially if we're trying to tackle the ankles and the calves. We need to have those heels down. So that's why we have that kettlebell or whatever there to counterbalance. You can use that to sit away from and rock yourself down onto those heels. Okay? If this is uncomfortable and anything, hips, back, whatever, don't do it. You can move yourself into a sitting position. If you have something that you can sit up onto that allows you to get into this position, that also works, and it still may work for you. But we're here, being up nice and tall. Now we're going to kind of rock side to side. So I'm going to drive my right knee over top of my right toe, using my elbow to keep that knee tracking over that toe and keeping my heel down on the floor. Okay, so I'm just chasing that stretch through my calf. And again, I can kind of rock side to side, forward, back. Explore that range of motion where your ankle articulates quite a bit between your shins and your foot, right? There's a lot of stuff happening in there. So just explore those range of motions. We'll go to the other side. Drive that left knee over the left toe. You may notice a different side to side. If you drive a 5-speed vehicle, you have a clutch, you might notice that your clutch leg has better range of motion than your non-clutch leg. Weird, right? All those strange things that you do day to day that you don't think about how it affects the way you move. Let's go back to the right side. Rocking side to side, getting into those ankles. And back to the left. We're just gonna rock side to side. Feel free to explore whatever side you like. If there's one side that feels a little bit more blocked up or a little bit more restricted, then feel free to spend a little extra time on that side. I'm just going to go back and forth a little bit between the two. Perfect. Bring yourself back to center. Think about sitting up nice and tall. Take a couple of nice slow deep breaths. If you're using a kettlebell or something, put it back off to the side. We've got one last sort of thing to finish off with. Ooh. Okay, we're just going to finish off with just 2 minutes of nice slow breathing. Okay, so just allow yourself to just relax. We're going to go into that same position we started with, hands sandwiched on top of each other, forehead resting in your hands. Reaching down towards the belly. Probably not going to talk a ton during this time. If you want to just stop the video right now, go for it. Follow us for more videos. If you just want to hang out and join us in breathing, sweet. You can also lay on your back with your hands on your belly button with your knees bent, with your feet flat on the floor. That might help your low back feel nice and comfortable. We're just going to breathe. So go ahead and just lay yourself down. Focus on how your body's feeling, how your breath feels, and where that air is going. Send it all the way down to the belly. Belly button presses into the floor. You want to try inhaling for 10 seconds and exhaling for 10 seconds. Give you a nice rhythm to your breathing. Beautiful. Yes, slowly bring yourselves back to any sort of way of sitting or moving that's comfortable. You want to stay laying, totally up to you. All right, there we go. Nice little stretch sesh. Thanks for joining me, guys. It's in line in the comments below. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram if you haven't already. Victoria Hardstyle Kettlebell Club or Victoria Hardstyle Kettlebell on Instagram. We've got a YouTube channel that we'll be posting a bunch of videos on. VictoriaHardstyleKettlebellClub.com is our website. And keep moving, guys. We'll get through this. Everything's going to be fine. Remember to breathe. Remember to relax. Allow yourself the ability to just enjoy movement. Not every workout has to be a leaving you puddle at the end. Follow some more tips and tricks. And we'll see you guys again soon. Thanks a lot, guys.